to just the details and the process of how you found out the game's status up to its cancellation.
Yeah, you have to understand, I just came out of a locker room saying goodbye to seniors, so I'm a little emotionally shot right now. But so we came up, went up like halftime. You would go up. We were making adjustments off of what we had seen and working with the players, coaching staff, getting together. I lost track of how long that time was, but it was probably a fair amount of time. And then they kept restarting the clock, and the next thing I knew that we had to go to a meeting with the both teams, TV, ACC, Mountain West, or whatever, and we had to come to a decision. And at that point, the bowl canceled the game. With all the information they had, which we all understood was player safety was the most prominent thing in everybody's mind. So with where we were with the delays, where the forecast was, the bowl people had to make a call, and we were all in support of the call that they made in the eyes of player safety.
Coach, this has been the forecast for quite a while. Was there talk at all during the week about what to do in this situation, whether there was a backup plan, some other place to play the game to avoid this situation?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that.
I can answer some of this stuff.
This is Brant Ringler, Executive Director of the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl.
So we knew there was a chance of inclement weather for this game. It was never the intentions to move the game or anything like that. Usually, the weather does play out into the favor of the bowl being played. We had a full weather report yesterday that we went through and what we were going to do for it. We followed all those protocols today, and we finally had to come to the decision to cancel the game based on the weather that was forthcoming as well. So we made that decision and moved forward. Steve, these circumstances are unusual to say the least, but what was the reaction in the locker room, as you mentioned, and then how do you kind of explain it to players, and then how do you move forward from it? Because the game meant a lot, whether it was the reward at the end of the season, 8 wins, there's a lot that goes into this.
Well, you can imagine that the locker room, when you're dealing with competitors, they want to play the game, and Martin addressed our team, and then I followed Martin, and I think at the end of the day, listen, we are all deeply disappointed, okay? Deeply disappointed. I can't speak for the other team, but I'm sure their locker room's like our locker room. I mean, you're talking about these are competitors, and a lot went into this. A lot of work, a lot of preparation, and when you're a competitor, you want to compete. But at the end of the day, when you have, people, administration in charge, tough decisions have to be made, and they have to be made in the big picture of things. And the most important big picture here is player welfare, player safety. And I explained that to our team, and I just got done in there, saying goodbye and hugging and very emotional with our guys, our seniors. And, after a lot of tears, and you sit there, and I also said to myself, well, you know what? These guys are going to have a chance to go on, and they're healthy walking out of here and have a chance to go on. And who would I be or anybody be to put them in harm's way? So I respect the tough call that had to be made here, because I don't know that I could live with myself if, God forbid, something happened. I think decisions have to be made with the information you have at hand. These guys had to make a tough decision, just like we do in games sometimes. And I completely respect the decision that was made here, as hard as it is for everybody. And as you mentioned, Julian, there's a lot at stake. But the most important thing at stake are those young men that are in that locker room and their futures, whether they were leaving this year or coming back. And I think with the information at hand, the thought of what these delays and what would occur here would be a little insurmountable. So that's what happened.
So moving away from the cancellation a little bit, you talked about saying goodbye to some of your seniors and how it was emotional. Can you just talk about that for us, as well as, what kind of some of the things that you said to them as you're saying goodbye to that senior class and about the senior class a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I told them I loved them, how much they've done for our program. 4 or 5 years you have with these guys, and this is the best group of guys that have ever been around. You come to work every day, and you're just happy to be at work around these kids. They're just fantastic kids. They love football. They're great students. They love to compete, and they love each other. There's a great relationship and rapport in our locker room between our coaches and our players and players to players, and it's the best I've ever been around. And that's why you got into this business. And so you sit here today just confronted with, as I said to him, I was hoping that, obviously we would be able to win and sing a fight song together in there. And we sang the fight song anyways, but I don't know, it just was emotionally overwhelming a little bit, to be honest with you. It's just hard to imagine all of a sudden, wow, there's a new normal, and it just was odd. That's about the best way that I can put it to you. But I have a good feeling right now that I know that things were done in their very best interest. And that's the most important thing to me, beyond anything else.
It's for Brandon, the bowl director. Was there any thought giving, the game started at 12:30, waiting it out, even if you had to go to 7, 8 o'clock at night and kick it up, keep it going? With then, did you talk to ESPN at all with that?
Yeah, we discussed with all parties involved with this, from the ESPN to the conferences, to obviously the head coaches and athletic directors. We had everybody weigh in on this. The game was going to kick off at 12:30. We had great weather. As you know, oftentimes weather moves, and we saw what was possibly coming, and it still was listed as kind of scattered thunderstorms. Sometimes it misses this. Unfortunately, in this case, it did not.
I'm wondering why you didn't wait it out longer.
If you look at the weather report, the next 3 or 4 hours looks like a storm larger than the one we just delayed the game for, and lightning strikes were very not just random, but throughout the entire storm, and it was just coming straight at us. And to have the players in the locker room for over 4 hours, to continue waiting it out, and then come back out to the field, warm up, on a the field's going to be awfully wet as well. I mean, we're talking about late at night. We'd have to move the TV as well. There's so many factors that go into it, and but the main factor is the player safety. And we thought, as of right now, that's the best thing to do for them and for the fans that are in the stands as well.
Right back over here.
Just too quick for each of you. Obviously, it's disappointing for the players to not play, but as a bowl, this is a showcase. It's an opportunity for you guys to kind of put on a show. What kind of is there kind of a disappointment for you at the opportunity lost to
Sure, it's we work all year long too to put on a bowl game. We have staff members that work year round for this opportunity to showcase the ServPro First Responder Bowl. We're mainly disappointed for the teams. They compete all year long to be here. And it's a reward for them for the great season that they had, and to go out on a high note, hopefully. So, yeah, we're disappointed greatly. We talked to our title sponsor. They completely understand. I mean, ironically, it's kind of what they deal with. ServPro deals with, the results of weather. So they completely understand and agree with our decision to move forward.
You talked about a little bit about the prep and the work that goes into this game, but I mean, is it something like it has to feel kind of empty a little bit when you don't get to fulfill that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it is empty because you're competing you're preparing for a goal, for something, and so that's hard. But of course, your preparation is not for naught. You're preparing also your team for the future. Bowl games have always been a great opportunity as a reward to go to a new city, to go to a new area, to experience something new. It also gives you 15, whatever practices to develop your team for the future. All of those things happened. We just fell, three and a half quarters short. And I think you guys can appreciate the fact that it's not just that easy to say, hey, we'll play it at 7 o'clock tonight now. I mean, like, our guys haven't eaten since 8:30 this morning. And they've already depleted nutritionally everything. And there's just so much that goes into that, how many times you can stop and start, and how long you can have your ankle tape. I mean, from the big to the small, there's a lot that goes into that. And with that future forecast, I mean, you know, I'm not a scientist, and there are stats on this, but your rate of injury goes up substantially.
Let's do one more question for Coach. For Brant. Any other questions for Coach before we let him go?
All right, guys. Yeah, Joey.
You've seen a lot of football and a lot of things,
Yes.
but this has to be a little bit.
I've
what is
never, I said that, in my career, this is a first, but, you know, there's a lot of firsts. This is a first. I've never seen it, I've never had this happen before. And I'd say I've been in it a fair amount of time. But, you know, I don't second guess anything about it. I just, as I said earlier, it's a first and it's very disappointing. However, the decision was made for the right reasons, and that's the welfare of both teams' players, and I totally understood that, even though we were bitterly disappointed. And I appreciate the fact that the Bowl people put our and Boise's players ahead of a lot of other things. I'm not sure how many people sometimes could do that, right? But they did it, and I'm very, 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 very appreciative for that. And, you know, just walk out of here wishing nothing but the best for Boise. They've got a fantastic football team and a great staff. And I know that all the prep that they did leading into this game will help catapult their future and their seasons moving forward next year, as it will ours. So all is not lost, you know, and a lot of positive, good things have come, and we're going to walk away feeling appreciative for the way everything we were treated and how everything was handled.